Okay, so I know I did
Why is it so
several
quiet?
posts today.
You're hard to hear.
You can't hear me?
Well, I can, but it's just quiet. I have my headphones in.
Oh, I mean, Enzo's sleeping in the other room, so maybe I'm not at full volume, but should I go outside?
I don't
I don't want
know.
to go outside. They're spraying today. I'm not going outside.
Ew.
It's a spray day. I could probably take this downstairs if it's too loud. Might be loud. Okay.
Oh,
Oof.
I had to turn it up.
Maybe I'll go in Sebastian's room.
No, I can hear you now. I had to turn my phone up. Yeah.
Okay. Oh no, I can't go in this room. This room's a mess. I can't. I can't.
No, it's good. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. All right, I'll have you. Let's get into it a little bit. So I know you saw some of my posts. I was posting on the food shortage kind of crisis we're going through right now. And why don't
Going through,
you?
it hasn't even started, really.
No, I'm sorry. That's what's to come. And the light is terrible. Why don't you fill everyone in, because you talked about this. I think you talked about this already like a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I've been talking about it.
Yeah. And all right, when did you first hear word of this? Let's start there. Adjusting this.
I don't even know. It's been a little while. I've kind of been piecing together different things that are kind of coming to a head pretty soon. I've been following the Oroville Dam for the last 2 years.
Okay.
And that's really where I was like, all right, if that dam fails, it's going to wipe out a massive amount of food, because they've got rice, avocados, nuts, all kinds of different things in California.
Yeah.
And then the flooding in the Midwest is...
For those in California that have no idea what's going on with the Oroville Dam, can you catch them up on that? Because a lot of people apparently aren't following.
Sure. Well, they're not talking about it. The Department of Water Resources and the state of California want to cover this up as much as possible, because you can go search like the inspection reports, and they're quite abysmal. They have not maintained that dam to proper standards over the years. And when that spillway failed, they did this really quick, shoddy job at repairing it, throwing it back together. And it looks like there's potential. It's an earth dam, so it's not like a concrete wall where, like, if there's water leaking through, it's not like a sprung leak in the dam, but there's a lot of grass and moss growing on the dam, the face of the dam itself. And when they were doing repairs on the spillway, they were doing blasting and all kinds of shit. There was I heard they found like water underground, and basically the geography there is not what they originally thought. There's a whole lot of problems. There's cracks in the land, like they're excavating and altering the land. There's theories and ideas that they might be covering up these cracks, but it doesn't change the fact that the ground is still not very stable.
And then the earthquake's happening.
So there's earthquakes happening in Lake Almanor, which is upstream of Oroville Lake, and there's also a dam blocking, like holding that, creating that lake. And there was earthquakes registering in the middle of that lake and around that area, and then NSGS is deleting it off of their records. And I've come across some YouTube channels where they're keeping track of this, and
yeah, and then
so
they delete a lot of it too. They're deleting a lot too, though.
Yeah. So if Lake Almanor, if that dam goes, all that water is going to flood down into Lake Oroville. It'll cause a huge surge in water, and then it's going to top that dam. And and then it's all done. I mean, if that dam fails, the entire Sacramento Valley is going to be underwater. Sacramento itself will be under like 30 feet of water, and that water could travel all the way to the Bay Area. It would be a truly horrific disaster.
If that goes down. And it's flooring that the billions are being spent on other things. Like, anyway, I don't want to get into politics in California, but there's so much wrong in that this is already, like, it's happening. They're not denying that that dam has needed to be fixed, like, forever.
There's a 14-foot crack in the concrete supports on the spillway gates. Like, there's a lot of structural issues going on. And then California has been so terrible with spending their money on infrastructure. Like, the Golden Gate Bridge has not been maintained in years. They haven't painted that thing, and the cables are corroding. Like, everything's falling apart.
So leading into now, so that's going to be awful for California because that is also a huge water source. We're talking about, if you just tuned in, the Oroville Dam. And there's Nicole's handle there. It's Nicole_H555. She also talks about what's going on with the food shortage, and because there is a food shortage going on right now, and everybody is a bit in denial. And it's not going to necessarily affect those of us that know how to pick ingredients and, like, cook them and put them together and feed our families. But we have to consider that the majority of America relies on microwave, 30-second meals and canned foods. And so they're going to definitely get affected first if they're depending on this stuff. So do you want to talk about when all the crops were already starting to...
Yeah.
I just feel like it's been happening, but like last...
It started at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It started with all the flooding.
Yeah.
And then, so all the flooding in the Midwest wiped out a ton of crops. And we're talking like hays and grains and corn, wheat. This will affect the livestock. This will affect, it has a trickle-down effect. And like getting raw materials even will be more and more difficult to make food because there just is no more. And then you had all that frost and that cold weather, that extended winter, that they already have a short planting season up north. So the cold extended all the way into what, March, April, even May they were getting snow, I think. Crazy. And so they haven't been able to plant anything. Farmers are getting subsidized. Somebody pointed a good thing out to me that farmers are getting a lot more money with insurance claims than they would planting crops. So there just is no food. And then the people who did plant, it's not growing well.
Yeah, that I'm hearing that too. So many of you guys who've been messaging me today with, this is the first year where my crops just aren't growing, and I thought that everything was good. The land was okay. I'm trying to do it my own, and things aren't growing. And it's all like weather related. So,
I would assume so.
Are you trying to
weather?
Back?
I don't know. You.
I know you want to say certain things, but you don't want to cause like pandemonium.
It's hard to talk about it. I mean, it's a little bit of fear is a good thing in a way to get people off their asses, though. Like, this shit's real.
Because
like,
it's happening. And
what happens if you go to the store and there's no more food on the shelves? What then? What are people going to do?
Knock on the neighbor's door that has the garden.
Not mine.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who are like, I was sharing that this morning, that there's like grown women who are fighting over the canned produce or the canned food not having stock and losing their minds. And
Monica just said,
like,
talk
produce.
Monica said, talk about 810.
I know Monica jumped in on here and she's like, talk about August. I don't know if I want to jump down that. I mean, okay.
I
So
want to, but I don't. I
it's hard
then
to talk
how
about that. What is, explain HARP.
harp?
Go ahead, just say it.
Well, it's an anniversary. It's the anniversary to harp. There's a lot of there's a Jewish holiday that weekend. There's all kinds of numerology and weird things pointing to 810 and 811. It's hard to run down all the numbers because there's just so many weird things pointing to these dates. And it's one of those things where, like, after 9/11 happened and everybody goes back and starts looking at all the connections and the numbers, and they're like, whoa, look at this and look at that, look at all these things adding up and pointing to 9/11 that we didn't notice until after the fact. Well, this time people are paying attention, and there are a lot of things pointing to the weekend of August 10th and 11th. And there's a festival going on at the Golden Gate Park that weekend. There is a baseball there's a baseball game going on in remembrance of the 1989 San Francisco earthquake, even though it did not happen that weekend. So it's a little odd. They would be having a remembrance of the earthquake. I don't know. I can't say anything for sure, you know. This is all a lot of speculation still, but...
Well, exactly, and a lot of people are speculating, too, that that's going to be the weekend of, like, the big quake, because California has been going through a lot of, you know, obviously, you know, whether it happens or whether it doesn't, the crisis at hand is this shortage that is getting worse. I'm already thinking it's bad, and we're not even there. We're not even close to what bad is going to be like.
So let's say they trigger this earthquake with HARP, because that is possible. If they trigger it this weekend, and then not only will it just ravage the West Coast, cause tsunamis. I mean, I'm from Seattle, and my whole life we've grown up hearing about the big one. The big earthquake is coming. And we've had earthquake drills, and I've been in a couple pretty decent-sized earthquakes, but that Cascadia subduction zone and that fault line up in the northwest across off the ocean, off the coast of Washington and Oregon, that's going to really, really cause a lot of damage. I mean, Seattle's going to be toast. Portland and Oregon are going to be toast. The whole West Coast is going to be wrecked. And then if that earthquake is big enough, if they take those dams down, the whole water system to Southern California.
Yeah,
what's that?
People are asking what is HARP. No, we just comments were coming in asking what is HARP. But it's weather manipulation. I know Nicole's like, you're over here, and
if the Oroville Dam breaks, it's not just going to affect Northern California and the food. It's also going to immediately take out the water for Southern California, because the entire aqueduct system that gives water to SoCal comes from Lake Oroville. Yeah. So if that water's gone all of a sudden, that means all the water's gone. All of LA, all of San Diego, all of Long Beach, all of Southern California is going to be out of water in an instant.
That's if that happens. But look, let's say that it doesn't happen, because we're the most optimistic pessimists at this point. If that doesn't happen, it doesn't. I mean, at this point, we're still affected all across the country with what's happening with just in the Midwest and the food.
Yeah,
because
totally.
We're so dependent. We've outsourced everything.
Oh yeah, and other countries. This will affect the entire food chain worldwide. Everything's become this interwoven web of trading, and it's not good. A lot of people get food imported from us.
Yeah.
So it's going to affect everybody.
What would you rather, though? Because wouldn't you rather bug in than bug out? Right?
Yeah, at this
I
point.
guess unless you live right by the dam. I'm talking like for me.
Oh, it
I'm
depends
asking
where
for
you're
me.
at. It depends where you're at. I mean, I'm out in Arizona, so I'm not going to be as immediately affected. However, the power grid is so vulnerable too. It wouldn't take much to wipe out the entire electrical system.
Okay, but the Vegas grid though, those casinos, they have it on lock for like if this entire country went off, like turned off, they have enough generators here to keep Vegas lit for like a decade. Because people come here on their last day. Like they take all their money and they one shot it, and if they lose everything, they go and they kill themselves. That's like what Vegas is known for. And unfortunately. But
Well,
we've got
also, money's not going to mean anything if everything collapses.
Oh, no, for sure. But I'm talking about like the generators that they have. That was my
Yeah.
worry too
Let's
coming out here when I was like, but if all these homes are here and it gets so hot and everybody's using AC, and what happens if there's a power outage? And like the realtors were all like laughing and the brokers were laughing and they were just like, Vegas is going to stay lit up. Like you'll be able to see Vegas from. Oh, wait. Speaking of power, you are cutting off. Nicole, can you hear me? Ugh, she's cutting off. Can you guys still hear me? Or, because all I'm seeing is her screen roll. Ugh. Here, we'll try this again. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait till she jumps back on. I don't know, it just started cutting us off. That's obviously, I don't know why. But yeah, you guys understand that if you have to look up HARP when you get the chance. They've really been already messing with the weather. And Nicole, if you can jump back on, if you can hear me, I'll bring you back in. Okay. Oh wait, Nicole. Ugh. Nicole, jump off and jump back on again because I got a request, but it's a request along with somebody else, and I'm only trying to bring you in. So we're not denying anymore that they've been messing with our weather. I'm just trying to let you know what it's going to get to soon here. And a lot of these videos that are being put up on YouTube are getting removed like within a day or two. It sucks. Oh, here, wait. Why are there, do you have 2 accounts? Here, go live with Nicole. Add. It says waiting for you right now. Okay, there you are. I don't know what happened.
They don't like me talking about this.
They don't want. I know. Literally, it was like last Monday too, where I got cut off with Linda the minute that we said the word to them. And now I hear myself. I have a back noise there.
We're just trying to warn people.
It's not a big deal.
It's not like people will listen anyways.
There's an echo, right?
I don't hear it.
Do I sound like that?
It sounds fine to me.
I know, but it's echoing. Oh well. It's no big deal. There's only like 100-something people like watching, and it's not a lot. I hear myself. That's kind of weird. Okay.
People don't want to listen anyways. It's either too scary or it's not real yet, or I don't know.
That's true.
I've been in this mindset for quite a few years though, and I've been working on preparations as best I can.
I can't keep up with the Amazon packages that come over to this house daily. It's like every new thing that Jeff is adding to our bug out bag. It's like there's always something else that we need that I'm like, we're gonna need to get a bug out RV. Like a bug.
Make sure it can run on propane or something, because gas is gonna be hard to come by.
I know. So how are you prepping? Like what should people start doing for if this is like the first time they're hearing about this?
Water, ways to clean water, and food, and medical supplies, flashlights, batteries, candles, figure out a way to stay cool or stay hot, because if the power goes down, that's really going to suck. I'm going to buy a generator this week. I got a freezer full of meats right now. I gotta at least keep my freezer cold at the minimum. And I got a well, so I gotta be able to get the well pump going.
Yeah.
House is third. Air conditioning and all that in the house, but preserving the food. Learn how to cook and preserve food. Learn some skills. Pick up some books. Yeah. Survival books. Like, get resources, because if the power's down and the grid's down, you won't have internet to go look up stuff.
Yeah, you can't listen in on a live.
Solar panels, yeah. Solar panels will be all right, but, I mean, they're trying to block out the sun, so I don't know.
What's frustrating is you're going to try to grow your own food, but if the soil that you're trying to grow on has been so contaminated, I mean, people are getting their soil tested. If you don't believe that this is actually happening, you should take your soil, send it in to get checked for levels of all of these practically heavy metals, pretty much poison.
I'm restoring the ground and the soil, so I've added a ton of mulch, and everything seems to be doing really well. Like, some of my trees are growing really, really well.
Okay.
It's about regenerative farming, like adding things to the ground and the earth so it can start healing itself and restoring. Like, I live in the middle of the desert. I have like really nice soil that I'm creating just by adding mulch and wood chips. And then I have a bunch of trees that are deciduous, so they drop their leaves every winter, and the bigger those get, the more mulch I'll have every year.
Do you think that it could also be the Jubilee concept? You know, like biblically, you let the land go on for 7 years, it produces, and then you give it a year of rest. And the year of rest is supposed to regenerate everything, and that's applied to humans as well. It's like if you work for 7 years, you should take an entire year to not rest, like your Jubilee year. And that was a practice that was, I mean, done for thousands and thousands of years, but we aren't allowing our land to take a break.
That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem why the crops are so shitty in the Midwest, because they're not they're monocropping. They're just replanting the same thing over and over and over. Yeah. If you rotate crops and you incorporate the livestock into the fields and you let it rest for a year, like I grew up with horses and garden and orchard, and my mom would have to keep the horses out of a pasture for like an entire year for it to grow back.
Yeah.
We'd have to rotate pastures.
Yeah.
You can't just keep going at it. Or like in my raised garden bed, you rotate different plants, like beans and stuff will put nitrogen back into the soil. They have like sister crops, where you can plant like beans and the corn together. The beans like add nitrogen. Like, they all add different things. And I'm not really like proficient at understanding it. Like, I'm still learning as I go. But you can look up sister crops and you plant a couple different things like together, and they grow together because they all put things into the soil, and the other ones, it becomes like a ecosystem, you know?
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of a food forest, where you plant different things together, like trees and shrubs and ground cover, and you plant things closer together, because like when you think about a forest, things aren't spread out in rows, and the trees don't wipe away the mulch. Everything falls on the ground. That's where it composts down, and it creates more nutrients for the soil and the microbes and the bugs, which create the microbiome and the bacteria that feeds us and the trees, and it's this cycle. And
this is what a lot of people don't understand and can't grasp, is that Mother Earth, Mother Nature is gonna be here regardless. It's gonna suck, for us, on it. Like, the weather and all that is going to suck for us. But yeah, do you want to tap into a little bit on like the lie that is climate change?
Well, they're changing the climate.
No, so it is happening. Climate change is happening, but not in the way that we're being told it's happening. It's not happening because like ice caps are melting and all of a sudden I have 10,000 grasshoppers, you know.
Yeah, it's all this. What do they, okay, if they're spraying metal particles in the air, what happens when metal is in the sun? It gets hot. So smaller metallic pieces in the air are gonna heat up because it's still metal. Metal gets hot. The air is getting hotter, but then it's colder in some places. There's no consistency.
I mean, and then insert the Gwen Towers. And now it's
yeah.
kind of like it's kind of like we're living in one big microwave ready to go off.
So we breathe in the metals, and they're in our system. And what happens when you put metal in a microwave? Want to go try it?
No. But I got a very triggering question here for a lot of parents. If your kid obviously has disability, this does not apply to you. If your kid clearly has needs and disorders, and what about the parents out there that have picky eaters? What are you going to do in an emergency situation? Your kid only eats chicken nuggets and pizza. What are you going to do?
Think about prescriptions too.
Huh?
Medications and prescriptions.
I just don't understand.
Can you stockpile those?
I can't relate. Thankfully, I don't have that issue. But these parents that also already know how to eat properly and what to do, and they're making separate meals for their kids because their kids are picky, what are you going to do? I'm telling you.
I don't know. It's not my problem, though. As cold-hearted as it sounds. I mean...
It's like it's basic survival things. Like, maybe I do that too much with Jeff, but we are always trying to put ourselves in situations of like emergency, disaster, what would we do? And there's just no way. Like,
well, I got pretty lucky. I grew up on an island next to Seattle, and pretty much every winter we would have power outages. So my mom always had food stockpiled and water, and we had a wood stove to cook on.
Yeah.
We were just prepared. Like, the power can go out anytime. All it takes is a transformer to blow, and then the whole neighborhood is down.
We had typhoons in the Philippines growing up. As a kid, I just remember we always had, they called them brownouts. So there was always a brownout, like weekly, and where we would just be in the living room with candles, and like just things would go off, and my parents would be like, well, that's okay because what we buy, you know, is just fresh for what we're about to cook anyway. It's not like we're keeping a bunch of stuff in the pantry and in the freezer that we're depending on for the next. Yeah, and so survival skill-wise, just we are in a generation that, I mean, I've shared this before. I'm not so much afraid of, like, the disaster that's about to happen. I'm more afraid of the people.
Yeah.
That don't know how to deal with a disaster situation. Because when is the worst? By day 3, I think day 3 is pretty much when the looting happens.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so having a way to create fire is very important. Having stuff to burn, not like trash, because that's going to cause you toxic problems, but like, how are you going to cook your food? How are you going to, if you have a bunch of freeze-dried food or dehydrated food or rice stockpiled, you need water for that food. And then you need water to drink, and you need water to clean. You need soap. Soap is going to be very important for,
Sanitation is going
yeah.
to be very important
Oh,
because things are going to come back. I mean, we're going to get scarlet fever, and if you don't have proper, then you're going to see like deaths via.
keep all the plastic bags from the grocery store. Do not get rid of those. Because if the sewer system is down, you can't flush your toilet because you don't have water, shitting in a plastic bag is going to be a lot more sanitary than the streets.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of uses for those plastic bags too, for transporting things. Like, don't get rid of them.
I mean,
And paper bags, keep them all.
Thankfully, they're free still here in Nevada. I think in California they're charging you for plastic.
Same in Seattle. Dumb.
I don't know.
Yeah. Lamps and lamp oil is good to have because candles burn out, but lamps will last longer.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go without food. You can go without food for like a total of, I mean, weeks. You could really go weeks without food.
If you've been like working into it and like practicing fasting, but somebody who eats 3 or more meals a day and then all of a sudden they have nothing, that your body's going to go into shock.
Yeah.
And you're going to go into stress mode. Like, when you're prepared and your body's conditioned to not eat as much, it's a totally different state.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, people should start limiting their food intake now. Just get used to it. Start rationing now. Start practicing.
Yeah, it would take a lot of practice. I think that this would be a great time for parents who are dealing with picky eaters to just tell your kids, because you're not really lying if you're like, dude, there's a food shortage right now. There's a shortage, and freak them out a little bit. You know, this generation has not been through a disaster like the other generations, and I think that we're such a culture of waste too. So
they've designed it like that. Consume, obey. It's just like that movie, They Live. There's a lot of truth in it.
Mm-hmm.
They want people consuming. They don't want people living off the land, making their own food, canning their own things, preserving their own stuff, raising their own animals. That's not the culture anymore. That's intentional. They want us dependent on the system.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly. I don't negotiate with children at all. My kids have to eat whatever's put in front of them, or if they complain, they get more.
Same with mine. My parents.
There's just
my mom always said, "You'll eat it or you'll wear it."
Really?
Or you'll sit at the table till your plate's clean.
Yeah.
We didn't get special meals. Never. Not once.
I'd rather bug in, you know? So it's like, if any of this stuff happens.
If you have the means, it's going to be safer for a while. But then what happens when you run out?
Then I guess it depends on what's going on outside.
Make sure you have good shoes and lots of socks. Socks are a good thing to stock up on. And what else?
I'm just like, I hate that this is like what it's, you know.
It's better to have an awareness beforehand than be caught blindsided and then you're really screwed. I mean, if people don't have the money for it, I say just go open a credit card and go buy some things. Like,
Wait, no, we're not advising you to do that.
I'm just saying, like, if it comes down to survival, money's not going to be a thing. Any money in your bank account or in your investment accounts or your retirement accounts, all they have to do is hit delete. It's just a number in a computer. It's not tangible.
No, it's not. You're right.
All the money's fake anyways. All the money, there's nothing to back it. there's no real money anyway, so you can't pay off a debt with a debt. So I'm really like, who cares about credit cards? I've got a house full of supplies right now. I can last a few months.
Because that's going to be the new thing. You're going to need to have barter skills. You're going to need to know how to negotiate with people. But
have some sort of practical skills too that you can contribute, like sewing, cooking, education, construction, like anything, plumbing. Like if you know how to do something, that's going to be very valuable.
Yeah.
Because everybody, if you have a community in your neighborhood, everyone's going to have a different skill set. You're going to have to work together.
What are some of you guys going to do with your kids that depend on the iPad 10 hours a day?
Fishing, hunting, learn how to fish, learn how to hunt, even just pick up some books on it, so then you have a resource on how to do these things and how to like skin an animal if you have to and things come down to it. Like have a book on survival or urban survival. Like there's all kinds of resources out there. Go to a used bookstore.
So also, look, I'm just looking at this box that we have to get together here. It's not even like half of all of our things, right? They sell these,
foraging.
Definitely waterproof matches were a good one. I also recently got my TDS meter, finally. I can't believe it's taken me this long to have a TDS meter.
Get a flint. Get one of those metal flints to create sparks, because...
No, we do. Jeff has that too.
I have multiple ways, like have lighters stashed everywhere and matches, waterproof matches, but also a flint, because these things run out. Matches will run out.
But I'm saying, like, are there certain things we don't need? Like Jeff thinks we need a survival axe.
I mean, I've got a survival knife.
No, but he needs more than a knife. He's like, hey, we need an axe. We also had to get a shovel. And this was actually, like, got a lot of good reviews. It's an entrenching tool, because if you have to be out in the wilderness... sog's good. Sleep. Yeah, you can't sleep on the ground. You have to, like...
Get some sleeping...
It holds out.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Sleep on the ground. Like, that's really dangerous.
You need a sleeping pad.
Yeah, definitely.
Get hammocks. Get hammocks from Eno.
I'm telling you, we literally have... It's just so disgusting already.
Here, check it out. I've got my... Check this out. I've got my survival knife in my truck. Nice. Always.
Nice. I think you should just carry around a knife or a gun with you anywhere.
I have my gun on my hip right now.
I carry that stuff just because of the pedophiles. I feel like that's just scarier,
It's getting dangerous.
These two, we got a couple of these. This, you guys have heard of these water filtration, these mini systems? They come with
Sawyer Squeeze. Get the bigger one, because I've gone backpacking and I've tried them both.
Yeah.
And the little one is all right, but you really want to get the bigger one because they have bigger bags. So, like, if you come across a river or a lake, like, you can scoop up a lot more water, and then
take it with you. You're right. So we also we have our Berkey and Berkey filters too, and this one's supposed to filter up to 100,000 gallons from freshwater lakes, rivers, or streams, and it can get rid of like 100% of microplastics, which is really good. This is a good brand to have.
Pick up the platypus water bottle, because it's a collapsible water bottle and it's lightweight, so you can fill that up with water.
Platypus? Yeah, this is the one. This is the flint, right, that you're talking about? That they spark up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Fire Strike. Okay. Yeah, we're just. It's literally at this point, and then. Besides the backpack, I had to go and buy one of those water bags.
The bladder?
No, like one of those big bags that just, if you have to go through a river or a stream. Where is that, Jeff? I kind of like it because it was lightweight, but it's like if you have to go through a river, this is where you throw in your stuff that you don't want to get like soaking wet. It's one of these. It's even got a strap on the bottom for like hip support. It's a pretty big bag, and then you're supposed to, like, once you throw everything in there, you can roll it up, click it, and then no water can get into that, so you could literally just, like...
They also have smaller ones, so you can put smaller waterproof bags within your pack. So if your pack gets wet, all the stuff inside is compartmentalized within waterproof bags. So then you just have the one pack. And
do you have a brand? Do you have a brand for that you recommend?
Osprey is my favorite, or REI brand. I've invested a bit of money, and I got myself one of those ultralight packs. It weighs like 2 pounds.
Nice. Okay.
The lighter, the better. I mean, it's cost more, but if you're out backpacking and trekking, ounces matter.
I know. I'm just like, man, this is terrible timing. I wish it could be like when my boys were older, so that they could.
So they can carry it.
You know? Yeah. I need my boys to like be able to like help with this kind of stuff. But we always have to be prepared with any kind of situation. Like, and we just practice and we rehearse just with the family on what we would do in case of anything. So definitely, because I feel like it's going to be heavy enough for me to bring around just my guns, you know?
And make sure you try it out. Like, put some weight in that pack and have your gun on your hip, because you want it to not be uncomfortable. You want to make sure that strap can fit between you and the gun.
I know. And then you have to just have extra ammo. Like, the ammo is going to be really important.
That's heavy. So I really like the military stuff. I've gone shopping at Miller Surplus quite a bit.
Yeah.
You can strap that stuff to your leg. You can get like those little like leg straps. You can put magazines in it.
Yeah. I know. I feel like if Lyra's on here. Yeah, I've saved some of that stuff before, but like I said, Jeff just continues to add to our bug out bags. So I just feel like it's gonna have to be a constant.
Also, a fun way to spend money for me.
For him, it's fun, but yeah, you guys, my milk stash. First of all, like, this entire community would probably survive on just my milk stash alone. All the fats in breast milk. I'm like, yeah. I feel like, you know, I could have stopped pumping forever ago. Honestly, I could have stopped pumping, and Enzo has enough milk but I feel like a little part of me is just like, there's that survival thing too, and that my kids could just survive on my breast milk. As long as, like, in other words, I'm the only one that needs to be eating.
That's so nice of you.
Why does Mom get the last of the ground beef?
There's a bunch of like food kits on Amazon you can order, like long-term food storage. Freeze-dried stuff is really good, but you have to have water to hydrate it, so you need extra water.
I know. So we're going to definitely have our Berkey is going to be one of the things we want to take with us.
You're not gonna take a Berkey if you have to hoof it on foot.
You watch me take this Berkey, and then I know there's not going to be reception. There's not going to be reception, but I'm going to be like, Jeff, I wish Nicole was here so I could show her that I took my Berkey. Oh.
Weld some straps on that thing now so you can throw it on your back.
You know what, too, though, with the crap that's going on outside and how things just are, it's harder for things to grow, I'm kind of happy about this tower garden, this indoor situation I have, too. Because it's
I would love to have indoor. I want a greenhouse. That's my dream, is to have a greenhouse.
That like literally the land that we're looking at when it comes to possibly selling this place and going somewhere else and figuring, I'm like, greenhouse. Greenhouse is what I want, but Realtor.com is not really giving me those options, because that handles, it's still getting the sunlight, and it's not getting the spray. And I think that, like, if you had a greenhouse right now, you are like leaps and bounds, all of us, you know? That's like lotto right now. If you had a greenhouse.
That's ideal. Yeah. It's ideal.
Yep.
And then I'm like, so what happens? They block out the sun. What am I supposed to do? Put a bunch of grow lights outside for my trees? So they get enough UV and full spectrum?
No, but we do that. We have the grow lights here. These things. This setup was only like an extra $200 for these grow lights here.
Yeah, it's essential. It's essential.
It's still thriving. It's still really good. Tastes great. I'm just gonna have to plant more, or maybe buy like another one too, to just be able to put my extras on. That's if we stay in.
You're still not getting the full nutrients though in a hydroponic system.
No, it's not ideal. It's not the perfect solution, but it's better than.
Oh, for sure, it's better than nothing.
It's
but
gonna be better than
people just need to understand though, it's not like you're not getting the full nutrients. Like, ideally is in the soil, because there's bugs and microbes in the soil that provide certain things. It's called the shikimate pathway.
Yeah, but the soil is being tampered with right now. What we're purchasing and they're labeling it organic, but it doesn't even matter.
I'm just doing the best I can, and I've had a lot of successes and a lot of failures. So all you can do is start and try.
Honestly, when the shortage does hit, with what you have left and remaining, it's not going to matter if you bought organic food or not. It's just going to be like, whatever, my body's going to just have to take this and figure it out, you know.
No, organic is going to be the last of your priorities in a survival situation.
Yep. But
that's not gonna be a thing. I don't know. I don't know how else to forewarn people. Like, I legitimately think something bad is gonna happen on the weekend of the 10th and the 11th. There's so many things going on in San Francisco. It's just too weird.
There's a lot going on, just period, that they're trying to get our minds off of, and it's so already obvious at this point. I think that the Great Awakening has already happened. It's happening, and they're at, you know, if you have the power to just hit that button, to just be like, nope, then it's all done, we got to just rewrite the history the way we want to rewrite it, why wouldn't you? You know, because I mean, just Hollywood is crumbling. Hollywood's crumbling. All of these politicians, it's like that the secret's out, you know.
There's supposed to be some indictments being revealed on Wednesday.
I heard about that too. It's a mess. It's a mess. There's gonna be so much unrest, and then they're hitting you too with like the food. So
they're hitting us with this food crisis, but nobody even knows it's coming.
No.
People in the Midwest and around the farmlands know it though. Like, they're having a hard time getting hay and stuff for their animals. They're seeing the shortage.
I sent you the message that the trucker sent me.
And yeah, he's a trucker for what though? For Walmart or something?
No, some food. They deliver food to like groceries, and
just a distributor.
And there's like nothing that's gonna stop the shortage. Like, these signs going up in these grocery stores that are saying, and that is weird that there was that weekend too, Nicole.
That trips me out. Why that weekend?
I don't know.
You know, I don't know. Of all the dates, they're like, oh, food shortage till the 9th and 10th. And then you'll all be dead.
Because it's not going to matter.
I don't know. I don't really know fully what's coming. I can't say what's going to happen.
Let's look up a Simpsons episode, because these Simpsons episodes seem to know what's coming before.
They have one with the bridge falling. Homer Simpson's cutting the San Francisco bridge. He was Homer Scissorhands.
It was called Homer Scissorhands.
Something like that, yeah.
They predict everything. I don't get it. They
don't predict it. They already know. It's by the same people who are running all this shit. It's called predictive programming. They forewarn us. They tell us what they're doing and what's coming.
I think a part of it is too just like a sick, twisted game they like to play. Because if you have the information, you just every now and then, if you're like naughty, you want to just throw something out there, you know.
They put it in our faces.
And wasn't there a date, too, on that news clip in The Simpsons?
Oh, something like that. Yeah, I'm sure.
I think the date was like August 13.
Do you want to hear something else really, really, really trippy? Do you know the George Strait song, Oceanfront Property in Arizona?
No, I don't.
Sorry. That George Strait song, the line goes, I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona. If you'll buy that, I'll throw the Golden Gate in free. So what does that mean?
Jeff's just sitting here right now. Oh, and then my echo came back.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I have a stress ball right here.
I don't want to dwell, but I want to just be prepared. Was there anything else you wanted to add, you want to share for people to look into?
I don't know. People want to know what to get and what foods to buy, and I just want to, like, whatever you use. What do you eat? Buy the things that you need. Get a lot of Band-Aids, too. You know, Band-Aids are going to be a really big deal. So I smashed my finger, and I lost my fingernail, but it took, like, 2 months for the nail to come off. I literally had a Band-Aid on my finger for about 2 solid months, and I went through a lot of Band-Aids. And I was like, man, this is a really good thing to have a surplus of in case something happens.
Yeah.
Costco's selling them.
Band-Aids?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I picked up a couple of those. Medical kits are going to be really important.
Yeah, we have you, and Jeff made sure we got a trauma kit too. Where's the
Yeah,
trauma kit?
a tourniquet.
The blood kit, and now we're like
blood clotting stuff.
We're
I can't remember the name.
learning how to use this stuff because
have
there
a
are
book.
certain gashes that you're like, how the heck would I figure this out? And these guys here that do all the training for the concealed carry in Nevada.
Yeah.
So can you explain this?
It's
So these are really important to have, laceration kits.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't just go to the ER. You can't just go to the emergency room. So this is the kind that you put it over whatever big gash, and these tabs on the sides you pull. And when you pull them, it pulls all the skin close together.
Ooh, I don't have one of those.
So, yeah, these are really, it's Zip Stitch is this company.
Cool.
Very high grade for like a really bad cut. So.
If it's really, really bad, or like a gunshot wound and it's bleeding out really bad, use that blood clotting stuff. It's like a powder that you pour in, and it basically cauterizes it.
It's like a trauma pack. You'd have to get a trauma pack.
Yeah. You can buy it separate. You can buy it on its own, or you can get it in a kit, I'm sure.
Yeah, and knowing how to use like emergency shears.
Oh, learn how to use things for like multiple purposes too. Like dental floss can be used as thread or for sutures. Obviously flossing your teeth and tying things up. Oh, paracord. Get paracord. Lots of paracord.
We have paracord. Yeah.
You need more than one.
Yeah, you need more. Yeah. Wait, how many do we have?
Paracord, you need a 550 grade at least minimum, and at least 100 yards, I would say.
At least 100 yards worth?
I would say.
Is that, yeah.
Just,
I think these are just, you know what, it's going to be back to basics. It's going to be just forcing people to evaluate their life and what they have allowed, what they're so dependent on, and just be able to take a seat back and say, if something were to happen, would we be capable? Would we make it to round 2? Like, and then take it from there. Because
So they say you need a gallon of water per day per person, on average, to be safe.
Especially if you're going to be trekking.
especially if you're checking. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one thing that's really hard to carry too. If you have to bug out,
Yeah. That's
water's
why
heavy.
Yeah.
So having ways to knowing how to create the water is good. So like when you dig a hole and you put a cup in the middle and you put some plant leaves and foliage around it and cover it with a piece of plastic and put a rock in the middle, and the humidity from the plants will condensate on the plastic, and then it drips down into the cup and you have water, and it's distilled water, so it's clean.
Yeah.
You can also take like 2 plastic water bottles. How did this work? You put them together. You can put dirty water in it. So you put like a straw up into one, and you have dirty water, and then you have them lid to lid, and so then the condensation from it will drip down. I would have to look it up again, but it was pretty neat where you can use like trash.
I know it seems overwhelming to a lot of you, but just think of how far you've come. Like for those that are sitting back also getting like really distressed and like, oh my gosh, and they're feeling really overwhelmed, consider how far ahead you are of the rest of the population. And there's still YouTube right now. There still is YouTube where they haven't quite gotten rid of all of those videos. I used to think like survival instinct, you guys. I was like, I just need to know how to be able to open a bottle of wine if I didn't have a wine cork. So I thought, I was like, I know how to do that with a shoe. Yeah.
Even think about things to like barter. Like if you don't drink,
go back to drinking. Just kidding.
Well, having alcohol is going to be something that won't be available. So in the instance of bartering, like if somebody wants a bottle of booze and they got something you want, you could trade.
Yeah.
Coffee is another good one for like trading.
Do you think all of us will just have like naturally nicer skin too, women, because we like just are going to have to look like ourselves? Like, should our husbands already start getting used to?
I already don't wear makeup. I already don't really wear makeup, and I got my eyeliner tattooed on, so I'm good.
Someone schedule me in for one of those. What are those brow places?
Microblading?
Yeah, somebody schedule me for one of them, because I hear that stuff lasts at least a couple of years. I could do with that, and then the rest just can go. The rest is fine. It can go. The good thing about that, ladies, is that every woman around you is going to be going through the same thing. So it's not like your husband sees you when you're on level 1 and everyone else is at level 10.